Welcome to Journey 365. I'm your host, Patrick A. Kelly. We want to thank you so much for joining us tonight. And before we get started, please join us in an open prayer. God, we thank you so much for the opportunity to be a message for you and to be able to meet so many wonderful people with strength and deliverance. We ask that you bless and deliver everyone we touch through you, and that they may receive deliverance and touch others as they continue on their journey. Personally, I want to thank God for being here right now and for choosing me to be a vessel, the message to bring others to him. God, thank you for my life. Thank you for my purpose. Thank you for my journey, this journey. Thank you for all the highs and lows and paths I've taken to get to where I am right now. Thank you for my heart and the ability to lift people's spirits no matter where I go. It was an early Saturday morning around 5 a.m., a little over 3 months ago. I was awakened from a dream I fully remembered. It was a conversation between myself and God, but it felt like it was face to face and yet in the most subtle and peculiar way. In the dream, God gave me the idea to produce a TV show talking to people about their journey, and that idea is part of this podcast and will become a docudrama. I received detailed instructions on what to do, and I remembered it as clear as you watching me and listening to me right now. As I laid in bed, I seemed to be in a dream state. I remember dreaming about this guy I had met at the gym who was always positive and shared healthy tips with me. I was thinking, why am I dreaming about this guy? Well, from that dream came a conversation with God about him. I asked God, why was I dreaming about this guy? A guy I had hardly known. God said, I want you to get him a gift. I said, a gift? I said, Lord, why do you want me to get someone I hardly know a gift? I said, God, what kind of gift do you want me to get this guy? God showed me a vision in my mind of a gold chain with a cross. Then God said, he has major trust issues that stem from things that happened to him in the past. So I said, okay, God. God further told me that my journey and this guy's is intertwined. So I'm going to tell you the quick story, what happened when I had a conversation with this guy. Then I'm going to get back to the rest of the dream. So what was so peculiar again was 2 weeks prior to me having to go to the jewelry store where I was supposed to get this guy this gift, I had already, two jobs was already scheduled in that area in Canton. And so I started just thinking about everything after I had the conversation with meeting this guy. I was like, wow. So the whole week, I didn't meet up with this guy until probably about a week after I had the dream. And when I finally saw him at the gym, I said, hey, man, I said, I know this might sound strange. And I said, it might seem different, but I said, I got to tell you anyway. I said, I had a dream about you. And I said, God wanted me to speak to you. And I said, I have something for you. And I said, let me know, because we were all at the gym about to work out. Well, I was working out and I saw him, he was just coming in. And I said, let me know before you leave, so we can talk. And so after he left, I was like, you know what? A mind came to me and was like, I need to go downstairs and get something. So when I went downstairs to get what I needed to get from the car, he had left because he didn't see me at the cafe where I told him that I would meet him. And he's like, he sent me a text, said, hey man, I got to run to Kroger real quick before they close. So I sent him a text. I said, hey, what Kroger are you going to? Because I said, I am going to get this over with right now. I said, God instructed me to do this the entire week. The spirit, not the spirit, but a spirit was riding me and was talking to me and asking me, he was like, why are you getting this guy a gift? Why are you getting a total stranger a gift? Why are you spending all that money getting this guy a gift that you don't know? And I was like, you know what? I rebuke you, Satan, in the name of Jesus, because I knew it was him riding me. He wanted me to disobey God and not do what God asked me to do. Well, I finally linked up with this guy. It was 11 p.m. at night, and I waited out in the parking lot for him. He came out, saw him coming out with grocery bags and stuff like that. He put grocery bags in his car, and he got in my car. And I said, listen, I said it again. I said, I know this might sound strange. We hardly know each other and stuff like that. But I said, God instructed me to get you a gift. God also told me that you have major trust issues that stem from the past. And the guy, he looked away, and then he looked back at me, and he said, man, usually I'm the one giving people gifts. He said, nobody ever give me anything. And he was like, I've been dealing with, some stuff that happened to me between me and my dad from the past. And it has been the thing that has caused me to not be able to have relationships. Like every relationship that I've had with a girl never lasts because of major trust issues that stem from the past. And he kind of looked at me in astonishment, because he was like, whoa, who's this like God that doesn't know me, just total strangers, like coming up to me and was like telling me this. And we just started talking, he started telling me his story, and I started telling him my story, and I felt the spirit was in the car. And it was like stuff was just flowing off of our tongues that was unpretentious, and it wasn't planned. And we sat there and talked for almost an hour and a half about God and about our story. And after he left, I drove off and I was driving home. I felt so amazed that I had actually accomplished that task that God gave me, and even more amazed that what God told me, not that I doubted him, but was just that I had this connection with God from a kid, and I still had it. Going back to the dream, however, before I even go back to the dream, just to remind you that, remember, God said me and this guy's journey is intertwined. So God telling me this was for me and this guy to have a connection. And that connection was us being able to speak to each other about things that happened to us, and us being able to connect through that. And this is what this show, this podcast is all about. It's us being 100% authentic in who we are and telling our trueness so that others can connect to us. So going back to the dream, as I laid there in bed, the journey of my life began flashing before my eyes, revealing things I had done in the past I had long since forgotten. And as this was happening to me, I became extremely overwhelmed. Some of those memories were deeply buried in the far recesses of my mind, yet they came flowing out like someone turned on a faucet. God began speaking to me, telling me that he has molded me since I was 3 years old with this moment. God said everything I had gone through, the good, the bad, and the ugly, was to prepare me for this day. He said, I see how you pray for people just meeting them or passing them on the road. Something you didn't have to do, but you did it anyway. I just laid there in bed and began bawling uncontrollably, because finally, when I was a kid and growing up, I didn't receive a lot of love from my mom and from my stepdad, or from my real dad, who still lives in Jamaica till this day. And it felt so special for God to recognize me. And as tears began flowing down my face, I felt like I was transcending. I felt like I was having an out-of-body experience. It was something that was happening to me that I couldn't explain, and I was feeling mind blown, and I was overloaded. But there was more to come, though. God told me that we are in the last days. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just got a little, God told me that we are in the last days, and that within 2.5 years from now, life as we know it would become even more devastating than now that we see people who are coming outside of themselves and revealing who they truly are. God said, I want you to be the message to draw people to him. I said, Lord, how can I be the message when I've lied and cheated, stole? I said, Lord, how can I be the message when I've lied, cheated, and stole, and even laid down with men? God said, come as you are and be delivered. As I continue bawling, God said, I want you to be the message to get people to know who they are, to deal with their past traumas, to let go of their hurt, and receive deliverance. When I finally came out of the dream state I was in, I didn't feel like myself. The air I was breathing was different. It was crisp. It was like I was floating on air. I was joyous. A day or so later, God spoke to me again. God told me that the people from the tribe, descendants of Jacob, who was massacred, driven from their land, and was later sold off in bondage from the slavery coast, their time of deliverance was at hand, and that they would take their rightful place. The 430 years was almost up, and that everyone who played a part in their demise, their destruction, who took advantage of them, would stand in judgment and lose their standing. Everything they have to those people, they would stand in judgment and lose everything they have to those people. There isn't a stone where they can hide, a building high enough, a bank account too big, or enough lies to cover up other lies. Everyone would stand in judgment. Looking at my life full circle, though, God told me I was going to minister to people when I was about 9 or 10 years old. And because preaching wasn't my interest, nor did I want to minister to anyone, I started running. And God chased me and gave me many good whippings. Ministering to people wasn't my top aspiration as a child. You know, when you ask a child, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? It wasn't a pastor. But now that I think about it, I have been ministering to people my entire life, but I just didn't know it. I was thinking of a traditional pastor on a pulpit, but God knew there would be so many ways he would get me to heed to my calling. See, I grew up in church and had witnessed so much dysfunction, it turned me away from church. But God was always in my heart. At every turn, God was there. And now I know that every part of my journey was a purpose, a plan by him, even when I would run the other way. Now 51 years old, through God's grace and mercy, my rebirth is now 15 years in the making and counting. Yes, I said and counting because I'm still being delivered. I still have things that I deal with that God is helping me with. As you journey with me and others who will take part in the spiritual awakening, this journey, expect to be delivered no matter who you are, no matter what relationship it is that you have with God. And for those who do not believe in God, he believes in you. And I cannot wait to hear your story. I cannot wait to hear the chronicles of your journey. I'm Patrick A. Kelly, and this is my journey chronicled by significant incidents in my life that made me who I am today. At age 3, I was molested by a family member multiple times, and then later by a friend of theirs. At age 6, I almost died and experienced my first supernatural and spiritual encounter, which has become a part of my being and has always stayed with me till this day. At age 8, and continuing on for the next 6 years, myself and my siblings were tortured. Myself and my siblings were tortured by my mother and stepdad. My sisters were molested. At age 10. At age 10, my mother used to pit me and my sister who are by the same mother and father, against our sisters, stepsisters. At age 15, I developed a sexual addiction that lasted until my mid to late 30s. At age 17, I was abandoned and felt alone, felt unloved. And with all the trauma I had experienced in my life, this experience, it seemed different. And yes, I felt unloved. At age 18, I experienced a mother's love from a stranger. At age 18, my then girlfriend, whom I had lost my virginity to, told me she cheated on me with a friend of mine. And as I sat on the bed, I began crying, and I felt like a part of me was disappearing. That day marked the final blow to my brokenness. And for 21 years, I was so many things. At age 38, I became celibate, and this was all by the deliverance that God gave me from my sexual addiction. At age 39, I became extremely sick. I got evicted from my apartment and lost everything I had because of vanity and pride. At age 40, God showed me through my loss and sickness the strength of my body and His continued love. At age 41, I felt like the modern day Job because I gotten sick. I got down to 115 pounds. And I didn't have any strength in my body. It got so bad. I asked God, I said, Lord, I'm ready to go. God was like, it's not your time. It's not your time. I lost everything I had. It was one of the worst moments of my life. But He renewed my body. When I came through that, I felt like a brand new person. And He gave me back everything I had lost, and then some. I lost my voice for a year and a half. I couldn't speak. At 51, God revealed to me my true purpose. And ever since I was a kid, I always knew that there was something special for me to do. I just didn't know what it was. And at 51, after all the running and all the stuff that I had gone through, God finally revealed it to me. At age 51, I overcame the power of lust and had a transcendental experience, an out-of-body experience. At age 51, I stopped running from God and have embraced fully my destiny to the calling to be the message. I just want to say that in order for me to be the message, in order for me to do this podcast and to do the show, I had to lay myself bare as I'm doing now. So you can understand that this isn't a game at all. God is using me. He's using me to be the message for you. And He says, come as you are and be delivered. But in order for you to do that, you have to bear yourself to Him and everyone. Because of our strength, God don't give us more than we can bear. And if He put you through something, like what I've gone through or what you have gone through or what you're going through, mean that you're strong enough to handle it. And He didn't give you that. He didn't give you that blessing for you to hold on to it. He gave it to you so you can share it with other people so that they too can be blessed, can be delivered, and know the love of God. So I thank you so much for being here with me right now, because you've had so many other things that you could be doing. Thank you for starting this journey with me. And thank you for your support. And I can't wait to meet each and every one of you to hear your story for my continued deliverance and for the deliverance of others.